Hey YouTubers, this is the Anonymous Reality TV blogger. I'm going to do a quick review on last night's episode of The Bachelorette. I'm just going to get straight to the tea and the main highlights of kind of what my takeaways were. So the biggest drama obviously was the Ryan storyline of him coming in with this Bachelor folder and playbook that had all of this information about how not to be how not to be edited as the villain, how to get additional screen time, how to pretend to know things about teachers, how to pretend to be interested in Michelle and all this other stuff. And it was discovered by Caitlin and Tasha, who are former bachelorettes, that were looking through some of the men's hotel rooms to kind of just see not only how they took care of themselves and everything else, but also to see if there was anything sketch in some of these hotel rooms. So they end up telling Michelle a little bit later, after she has like her first one-on-one with him, after all of the guys like do their quirky intros. And so he basically keeps tripping up his words, and they go to his hotel room, and Michelle's like looking through the documents like she's grading papers, and it was hilarious. And they kept interviewing Ryan, and he kept telling all these lies. Like, first he said this came from his friend's wife that wrote all this stuff up. Then he said he's never seen the show. Then he said he's only watched 2 hours of the show. Then he said he watches episodes and then takes notes to what to do for Michelle. But you just said you'd never seen it before and you only seen 2 hours of one episode. So how can you, like, which is it? He was just fumbling all over his words. And so ultimately, Michelle made the decision to eliminate him right then and there because there was no point in keeping him around. He tried to at least beg for another chance and everything else, but, she was just kind of over it. I wish you would have given that same grace to Joe. Joe is somebody, apparently, they're both from the same town in Minnesota, and apparently were DMing each other for a little bit, and then he kind of just ghosted her. And so his explanation was due to what was going on with the George Floyd stuff last year. But I don't know if I fully believe him, because here's my thing. If you like somebody, you're going to put forth the effort no matter what is going on in your life. Like, that's the whole point of dating and getting into relationships and so forth, is that there's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be things that are happening. And I felt it was kind of a cop-out on his end. So I don't know. I just don't trust this guy for some reason. Something is just going off my radar that they are going to edit him to make him seem like he is this reformed good guy that should be the one that Michelle chooses. But really, I just get scammer from him. Also, I thought it was very interesting in all of these years of Bachelor and Bachelorette, we had our first Indian contestant, which is insane that it's taken so long. Like, that's incredible. Then we have 2 firefighters. That was pretty funny. I will say the entrance to that was funny because the first guy, he came in on a Tonka truck, and that was hilarious. And Daniel was telling the producers in his little confessional, yeah, I think I had the best entrance and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, this looks silly. And then right after, PJ comes in with this real fire truck, has the sirens going and everything else. And I think he is incredibly handsome. PJ, those of you who are not familiar with Lorenz Tate, Google Lorenz Tate, specifically when he was younger in the 90s, when he was in movies such as Love Jones. PJ and him look so similar. Oh my gosh, I think he is so handsome. Also, they're doing a lot already with Clayton, because he's like the next Bachelor, and I'm a little frustrated that it was already announced, because I felt as though usually there's some suspense. Usually they wait till after the final rose to announce and everything else, and so I'm a little agitated that they announced it so soon, because now you're just counting down basically to whenever things don't work out with him and Michelle, so that's no fun. Nate, I love. Oh my goodness. He was the first guy that came out of the limo. And I just saw sparks immediately with him and Michelle. And he ended up getting the first impression rose, which was well deserved, even though he seemed very nervous, talking about his family and how his parents were divorced and this and that, but that he still had a happy life. And then his mom was getting divorced again, and he was really close with his stepfather. So he was a little bit nervous, but then it was like once they started talking more, you could just see Michelle light up, and she was just glowing. And so when she gave him the first impression rose, they had this very passionate kiss, and I was just so happy for them. I'm like, you guys, and then they walked down the steps prior to the rose ceremony, and I'm like, you guys already look like a couple. Like, you guys are killing it. But there's still like a roster of guys that I'm hoping, make a difference. The guy who was who had himself in like one of those room service carts and had himself on a platter, I just found like super annoying. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to go far for just doing these quirky things. I liked Alu, I think his name is. Not too sold on Romeo. Not sold on Rodney. I couldn't believe that he wasn't familiar with knowing his different apples. That was kind of embarrassing. Will from the previews looks like he might be around for a little bit. The pizzapreneur guy, was giving Michelle cannolis for the first time, and that was interesting. And I think Garrett, who's the tech CEO, I think he went home. Again, it's like I felt like they spent so much time on the Ryan drama that you didn't really get an opportunity to get to know too many of the other guys. And usually that's not the case. Like, usually you have an idea of most of the guys, so you can kind of wrap your head around some things in the 2 hours. But I felt like so much screen time was spent on Ryan. So hopefully now that he's gone, we can kind of really get to know a lot of the other contestants. So that's really all I had. I just kind of wanted to keep it short and sweet. I really didn't want to go through all of the intros and everything else, because it's like, they just come up with whatever. What I will say, though, is I am happy that ABC casting, production really stepped everything up this season in terms of really rolling out the red carpet for Michelle, for her to succeed, for her to have the proper dates, for the quality and caliber of men to be successful, have careers, and so forth. Very nice. And I think the only other thing I wanted to just discuss was the beginning of the episode was really nice in terms of them showing an intro package of Michelle and her being from Minnesota. Her with her 5th grade students was really cute. Her being with her parents was really nice, to just kind of give you that backstory, because I didn't watch her on Matt's season. So it was really refreshing for me to kind of just see everything kind of come together, and then see her transition to the hotel she's going to be staying at. And they gave her like a really nice room. And it looks like, Tayshia and Caitlin are going to be a part of the season. So that'll be fun. Let me know what you guys think, and like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys again soon.